Hey guys, this is my walkthrough of Torrey Pines. Um, we've had Young 46 put up some great walkthroughs of Oakmont and Pebble. Thought I'd do the same for Torrey. It's a still brand new course, less than a year old with WGT, and I've been fortunate enough to win a couple big tournaments here, so thought I would just walk you through how I think about the course. This is not an ideal wind direction for this fairway that goes left to right, so I got to think about it a little bit. Main thing is just keep it in between these bunkers here, so I'm going to aim down the right side and probably end up over here, left side of the fairway. Put a little more spin than I might otherwise just to make sure it doesn't release too long. Yep, that's about where I thought it'd be. Now the approach on this one's a little tricky. I find some clubs don't play their usual distance on this hole. I have a hard time gauging the wind. This is a deceptively tricky approach. Let's see what we got here. I always make sure I check the back camera here. So you can see much less of a tailwind in this view, although I'm a little bit offset. This view is looking much stronger, still a little bit offset. I'm going to try to play it sort of in the middle about, the way I would frame it is this is about, like a 30-degree off of, I don't know what you call it. I measure the angle as if you've got axes here and here. To me, that's about almost 60 degrees. And in terms of shot selection, I'm going to go, I don't like playing pitching wedge into this hole, although it's sort of the natural one. I find the pitching wedge goes a little bit long. I guess my alternative is a 9-iron. I find the 9 goes a little bit short, so I'm actually gonna play halfback pitching wedge. Normally I'd play this full. I might come off just a fraction. All right. Really, every putt on this green is pretty straightforward. Nothing breaks too much. I pretty much just take dead aim at the pin. Definitely want to protect against going left, but pretty much anywhere else gives you a makeable putt. So hopefully, oops, I got my speed. Nope, 13.5. That's an odd green speed, but this is the 1K. 1K ready, go. All right, always good to start off with a birdie here. And on to number 2. All right, right to left wind. Again, you're not going to drive this green. You're going to have a wedge in no matter what you do. Just find the fairway. You don't need to worry about being too aggressive here. If you have a number you like to lay up to, then I guess you could. All right. Check the back camera. Looks like a decent Little headwind, but not too much. I think I'm going to put just a little bit of top spin on the 75, not too much because I do find wedges tend to sail a little bit long on this hole for some reason. So I'm just going to put maybe like 30%. Late miss. Not bad. Again, I just fire straight at the pins. There really aren't any places on the greens that worry me on 1 and 2, so I just fire right at it. All right. Birdies on 1 and 2. Now the first really tricky hole, this par 3. So I hear a lot of questions about people thinking this par 3 play is odd, and I guess it does if you play sort of the traditional elevation down 3. In other words, 3 feet is 1 yard. So in this case, it does play a little different. The elevation's a little different from the back tees. I find from the forward tees it plays pretty much straight up, but this back tee, I think they might have just gotten the elevation wrong when they programmed the course. Usually I play punch into a headwind, full shot into a tailwind. This one's sort of a neutral wind. I could go either way. Let's see if we can figure out if this is a headwind or a tailwind, and then that'll help guide my decision. That looks very much neutral to me. Same in that view. Same in that view. Maybe a slight tail in that view. I'm going to play it neutral. So really I have my choice of punch or full shot. It's really a matter of just what you're comfortable with. I'm probably going to go punch just because I don't have to aim quite as far out. Yeah, if I were playing this with a full shot though, my neutral wind power on this hole or distance is 172 with a full shot. So in other words, with a neutral wind, you'd need to hit it 172 to get it there. So that 38 is really playing more like, down 65 or something like that. But I'm going to go punch. I like to come off the spin a little bit. I'm going to go halfback 4. I'm going to under aim the wind. I guess I should talk about the green a little bit. Right is dead. Absolutely can't miss late. The miss is early if you're going to miss, and I'd rather be long than short. So what I'm going to do to account for that is under aim on the wind and play maybe a fraction more power than I would otherwise. So normally I'd play this about here in terms of wind aim. I like to come in between half a grid and a grid on this hole just to guard against going right. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to play this about 94.5%. Hit the ding. Let's see where we end up. That one went way farther right than I was expecting. I know what I did wrong. I played the wrong wind aim. I played it as if I was playing a full back punch and I was playing a half back punch. So that was actually quite lucky that I ended up not going down the slope there. Okay. So pretty straightforward putt here. I'm going to read the dots. think it's just outside the right edge. Let's try to ding it. A little early, late miss. No problem. All right. Always good to birdie 3. Number 4. Again, the driving on this course is really pretty straightforward. There's no trees to speak of. Generally speaking, the fairway bunkers don't come into play except on a few drives. Yeah, pretty straightforward course from that perspective. Now this green is the first one other than 3 that I try to be a little bit strategic about where I end up. So that looks like a little bit of a tailwind, but not much. First, let's figure out the wind. Yeah, I think it's just a slight tail. Here, much like 3, right is really bad. You end up on top of this little shelf here. You got a tricky little downhill putt that's almost impossible to make. Ideally, I'd like to be left of the pin, pretty straight uphill putt. A little bit short is fine as well, a little bit long. It's okay, it's a little bit of a sharper breaker. I'd say I would prefer to be left and pin high, left and short's okay. Left long, probably okay, but definitely avoid right. So I'm going to definitely try not to miss right. I'm going to aim it about like I normally would. Maybe a bit less. The spin will probably bring it back down. I'll end up with an 8-10 footer left of the pin if all goes well. What to hit? I think we'll go 6-iron and play it a bit underpowered. I take that back. I'm going to go 7. Got the ding. Let's see where we end up. Distance. Yep, a little left, a little short. That's pretty much perfect. Check the other view real quick. It's a little bit slower. Okay. I'm going to go about not quite quarter grid. All right. Good start. On to 5. 5 is one that I do worry a little bit about the bunkers and the rough. But with the left to right wind, it really shouldn't come into play. I'm just going to aim down sort of the left side here, let the wind bring it back. A fraction of a late miss. I didn't want to do that, but still found the fairway on the right side. All right, left to right wind. I do find this one in 7. I have a harder time judging the wind on than some of the other holes. But in terms of where to end up on the green, I don't like to be left. Short is good. Long is not too bad. Right's fine. So really, I'm just sort of trying to not miss left. Although there is a little hill, and with the left or right wind, if you landed on top of this hill, it'll sort of feed back down to the hole. So really, it shouldn't have too much trouble here. Go 8-iron. All right. I like that. Don't even have to putt it. So unfortunately, we've got a headwind here, and we're going to have no chance of making it into. So good thing I got that eagle on 5. Yeah, really just find the fairway. And if you really want to get on the green, you know, if you were a little bit closer, you could try like a half top 3-wood. I don't see much point in that. I'm just gonna play a 3-iron down there and take whatever yardage it happens to be at. If you're comfortable playing to a number, that's good. I really don't have any preferred numbers. I think you pretty much just got to learn to play all the numbers, irrespective. So this is about the tricky part's figuring out the wind angle, because the camera views are not great. This one's a little bit more of an angle than the other view. I'm still a little bit offset. So that looks like 30 degrees-ish to me. This one more like 20. Kind of go a little bit in the middle. And it's actually not a bad number to try to hole it out. If I could just get the aim. Here we go. Try to have it hit just beyond the hole and sort of suck back, kind of like that 8-iron on 5. So I'm gonna actually, this ball is not gonna spin back. If I were playing my 101 ball, I'd probably get a little bit of spin back. I might get a fraction on this one, but I don't think it's going to be enough into a headwind, and I'm not going to actually put any spin on it. So we're going to go about 90%. Okay, I did something wrong there. What did I do wrong? Ah, I know what I did wrong. Well, that was stupid. I played the actual yardage and not the net yardage. I needed to play that like 73, 74. So that was stupid. Just gave back that stroke I got at the last hole. Well, it gives me an opportunity to explain this putt down here, because this is a putt that anyone who's played Torrey, you've had this putt a lot. And it's tough to tell the break. It's very much uphill. I find that no matter where you are, it's not going to break much. It's probably going to break less than a grid for sure. from here. Now the question is figuring out which way. And, it's looking like it's going to go a little left, but then here it's going to go a little bit right. I'm actually not going to move the aimer at all. I think that is probably my best line. And there you go. So don't aim as much as you think on that putt. All right, this one, number 7. On this drive, these bunkers and this rough on the left is definitely in play. At the US Open round, I was in the rough over here on the left side. Still made birdie, but was not happy about that. I'm going to aim to carry some of this rough on the right and land it down in here somewhere. And I'm going to put full backspin on it just to make sure it doesn't roll through. Oof, that still came very close. I got a nice lucky kick to the right there to avoid going into the rough. All right, let's not make any more mistakes on my numbers. 121 down to 17. That looks like about a 45-degree angle on the wind to me. But this is one you definitely got to check the back camera. A little less, but I'm also offset. I'm going to go 45 degrees and we'll see how that ends up. In terms of putts on this one, I definitely don't want to be long and left. I don't really want to be short and left. I think anywhere either short or long on the right side is fine. So that's generally what I try to do here. I'm going to go pitching wedge. Pitching wedge it can spin back a good bit on this hole. So I think 3/4 is probably the right number to carry it to the pin. But that'll spin back several yards. So I'm going to go maybe 65-ish%. It's going to carry long, but I'm going to trust that it's going to come back. Well, what do you know? Two hole outs on the same 9. Not bad. I'll take it. Wish I could say that happens all the time. I'd be lying though. All right, this par 3, 167 up 21. I tend to find this one plays a little bit longer than you'd expect, and definitely the green has some nuances you need to be aware of. Maybe before we go too much further, you can't be long. Like, you can go long so long as you put enough spin on it to bring it back. You end up on this top shelf and you're dead. It could be a bogey very easily. So you need to hit it a little longer than you think, but with some spin and get it to come back. Or you could try to get it to just hit and stick by the pin. Depending on the number, I do both of those things. In terms of ideal putts, I'd say I'd like to be in this sort of short and right quadrant. That's probably the simplest putt. But I'm left often, so long as you're not past pin high, it's not that tricky. Maybe quarter grid break. And if you put too much spin on it and end up somewhere down here, even those putts aren't too bad. But ideally, I like to be a little bit short and right. Let's check out the wind here. 15. That looks like about a 35 to 40 degree angle to me. So I think we go full back 6, a little bit underpowered, carry it a yard or two long and bring it back. I think because it's going to be a bit underpowered, it's not going to come back too much. Okay, went a little bit longer and a little bit, and I pulled it slightly, but it still ended up below the hole. Although it's still downhill. That's kind of weird, isn't it? That it's a downhill putt, even though it came back below the hole. But this putt's not too bad. You just have to read it correctly, so I'm going to take a minute and read it. Definitely going to go 2 views on this one, given I don't really have a straight on view. I'm kind of guessing with these camera angles. Okay. I think we're going to be about 55% of a grid. Looking about right. About right there. Maybe a fraction more. All right, committed to the line, committed to the power. Let's strike it solid. All right. Number 9, unless you get just a dead straight tailwind, you're not going to really be able to get there in 2. Just find the fairway. In the second shot, depending on the distance to the bunker, I could definitely get to the bunker. So I could either try to lay up short of that, but then that leaves me, a much longer approach, or I can trust that I can squeeze the 3-wood in left of the bunker and try to knock it a little closer. That's what I tend to do here. I'm just going to aim at the edge of the bunker and just hit it. Having the 75 wedge in there is, I always prefer to have that as opposed to the sand wedge if I can. I just tend to hold it a little bit more often. Okay, we got a pretty good view of the wind. It's, I'm going to call that 127 degrees off of due north. And yeah, you're not going to get good cameras here. Yeah, I think pretty obvious here where you don't want to be. You don't want to be down here. Um, really, I don't like to be long. I don't like to be short. Yeah, this is one I really don't like putting on this green at all. So I just take dead aim and try to hit it as close as I can. All right. So good front nine, a couple of hole outs. Yeah, really helped. So now on to 10. Tailwind is nice. It allows us to carry these bunkers and not really worry about it. Just try to fly it over the closer one and end up somewhere in the fairway. A lot of pitching wedges today. It's about a 30-degree angle. Let's check the back cam. Yeah, maybe a little bit more of an angle. Go 35. Okay, so this green, oftentimes, I'd say one of the more common putts is, releases a little bit, and if it's rolling as it gets to the hole, it's going to roll all the way down here to the fringe. At least if you're playing on championship greens. So this putt back here along the fringe, very common, and one that you probably need to know. I like being left of the pin. It's pretty much a dead straight but downhill putt, but pretty easy. A little bit short is okay. And I don't end up a little bit long or a little bit right. Like I said, it tends to feed down here. So if anything, I'll err a little bit left and maybe a little bit short. And I'm going to reference my notes real quick on this one because I find the pitching wedge doesn't quite play normal. Actually, I have no idea where those notes are. Okay. Got it. I'm going to play 3/4 back on the wedge. I don't think it's going to spin back too much. I think it's just going to hit and stick. And it should carry a little bit longer, a good bit longer than normal. Little pull, that's not good. Well, I don't like being that short and left, so that pull was not good. All right, let's check the green view, see what we can learn. Yeah, it's all feeding down this way. It's just what's the angle you need to start this thing on, and what's the pace. And we could sit here all day and try to figure this out. And I'm just going to check a couple of views and then we'll go. All right, it's more of a feel read. I'm going to go about a cup outside the left edge. We'll go about here on the power. And it stayed outside on the left. Yeah, this is a tricky green. You really got to hit it pretty tight to feel confident that you're going to make it. I'd say on the back nine, this is one of the ones I par more often, along with 12 and 15. Yeah, the back nine par fives are pretty straightforward, actually. I don't like left. You end up on this little hill, and it's tough to gauge the break on this pretty steep downhill putt. Anything right, short, long, all fine. So I'm just trying to avoid left of the pin if I can. Okay, it's 215 down 28, 18 mile an hour wind. I find that T-cam is usually pretty good. All right, I'm gonna go 3-iron, go 3/4 on the backspin. About 97 or so on the power. Where's that going? Wow, that really turned hard. I can't believe how far left that went. I must have started off offline because I'm a good bit long and left, or I got the wind completely wrong, but I think that's Vim for you. A bit unfortunate. All right, take a minute and read this one. All right, I've got it about here. This view, look at it for just a second. A lot more in this view. That view is offset by 2 grids. This one's only offset by half a grid, so I'm going to put it a little bit more out based on what I see in the other view, but not much. All right. Let's see. Oh, good effort, but that's just so tricky to read. And again, a bit unlucky on the tee shot, but I guess I'm giving back some of the luck I had on those hole outs on the front nine. Okay, number 12. 12, it's not, it doesn't look like anything much in terms of tricky holes, but I find it does play differently. I'll just say that. It's one where I've made notes on and try to find patterns, and still the ball doesn't do what I think it's going to do often. So in this case, it's a tailwind. I definitely probably prefer a tailwind, but I am going to have to take a look at my notes real quick and just see what this says. Yeah. All right, let's go 6 iron. I tend to take off a little bit here in a tailwind. We'll see where this ends up. Still carried a little bit longer than I was expecting, but not bad. Yeah, in terms of putts on this green, really anywhere other than short, I'm fine with. I think just left edge and firm. Firm is a relative term. All right. Always happy with a birdie at 12. 13. Nice, we got a little tail. We can just carry these bunkers on the left. No problem there. And it's possible we could try to go for the green. I don't think we're going to quite get there. Yeah, I guess if you like ending up with sort of a steeply uphill little shot here that's pretty close, you could try for it. High risk, bunkers come into play, and basically no reward as far as I'm concerned. So I'm just going to lay up with the 3 iron. That's still a little closer than I probably would ideally like to be, but that's fine. Again, I don't really try to lay up to a specific number. with how uphill it is, I am definitely not going to go punch shot. I'm going to go full shot with a 60. I'm going to have some spin on it. I think I'm going to go about 75% and about half back. Yeah, maybe 74. Oof. Little pull. Otherwise, maybe it would have had a chance. Yeah, not many eagle chances are going to exist at 13 unless you're playing on short tees. 14. Just find the fairway. Then let's try to get the wind right on the approach. It looks like it's right to left from this view. Still right to left. Not sure. Yeah, pretty close to a dead headwind. But I'm going to play it just a little bit out to the right, fractionally. And the number is pretty good. Pretty good. I think it's a full back 7, maybe one tick off. Little late miss, shouldn't hurt me too bad. Okay. Yeah, this is one that I just take dead aim at. There's really no danger on this green. The only danger is if you're short and left, so try to avoid a big pull. The miss is definitely a little late, which I did. All right, it's about quarter to 30% of a grid. One of the more straightforward holes on the back 9. Now we've got 15. It's sort of the last real tester at Torrey. I always feel like after I get past this one, it gets a bit easier. Again, got to find the fairway and the approach, usually with a long iron. You cannot miss early and be in this bunker. Very tough up and down. If you don't carry it far enough, the ball's gonna feed back down and it's not gonna release forward, so you're gonna end up with a 25, 30 footer if you're down here. I just sort of take dead aim and try not to miss early. And if I end up over here, it's a tricky little downhiller. Same with back here. It's a little bender from over here. Breaks a little bit more than you think. A little short's fine, but again, I'd try to take the bunker out of play and take short out of play. So if I miss, it's probably going to be right and long. Okay, 206 up 7, 17. See if we can figure out what this wind is doing. It's definitely not easy on this hole. Yeah, a little bit more of a hurt from this camera. Fortunately, it's a pretty good number. Really need to hit the ding here. That would be nice. All right. Very happy with that one. About a quarter grid, a little less. Okay, home stretch. So again, very straightforward par 3, number 16. Pretty much exactly the same as 11 actually. Over 200, a little downhill. And you don't want to be left. Anywhere else is fine. So in terms of how I look at this, yeah, really just avoid left. I'm okay with anything else. I'm going to under aim the wind just fractionally. Could go 4. I think I will go 4, but I'm going to come off the spin a touch. And I pulled it. What's the one thing I said I didn't want to do? Let's go left. That's what I did. Sometimes that happens. And when it happens, you got to be able to make the putt. So this putt I've had more times than I care to admit. It's very tricky to read. You got to use multiple views. So I'm going to do that. Okay, got that read. I get this one too. Wish I could move my dude out of the way. I really can't though, can I? I'll read it in chunks. Okay, I don't like that read quite as much. It's because it's more offset. This one's a little closer to straight. Super downhill. Go right there. And that's what you got to do when you hit a bad shot. That was the one place I didn't want to hit it. But if you hit it there, just make the putt. All right, 17. This is a devilish little hole. It's uphill. Long is dead. You cannot, and that's the one thing that I tried to avoid. With any green, I can't think about too much. I got to take one, maybe two things out of play maximum. So, and as you saw from the last hole, I'm not always successful in that. Trying to take left out. So in this case, yeah, that's the only thing I'm thinking about is don't be past pin high. Ideally, a yard or two short. Yeah, pin high is you're going to have a bender, but it's makeable. Up here, it's very tough. You're coming down the slope, and if you don't make it, you're probably making bogey. You end up down here, good chance of making it pretty straight uphill putt. A little short. Perfect. Should be pretty straight back up the hill. Not dead straight, but definitely preferable to being above the hole. All right, so this is a little bit tricky in that anytime you get a putt that's very much uphill or downhill, yeah, it's a little bit tough to gauge exactly what's elevation and what's actual break. I think this is about a cup outside the right edge. Okay, 18. With a good tail, you can definitely get there. With this one, I think so. We'll see. We'll see. I'm gonna Try to get a little roll out of this one. Go, go, go. Yeah, I can get there. All right, this should be pretty good, actually. 254 up 1, 18. What's that angle of the wind? That's really important. Okay. Normally on this green, I don't like to be, obviously you can't be short. If you want to have a chance at eagle, you got to carry it up onto this back shelf. Anything here is going to feed right back down. So I'm not so concerned with where I am, just that I'm somewhere on the correct shelf. So in all likelihood, I end up long more often than short, and that's okay. And I'd prefer to be a little bit right than left, just to guard against going into this bunker. All right, how do I feel about that aim? I feel pretty good about it. I just can't miss early. I think I could play this fullback, but I run the risk a little bit of not carrying it far enough and coming back down the slope, so I'm going to come off just a fraction. Hit this like 88–90% backspin. Stick. Come back, come back, come back. Okay, that's pretty darn good. I'm pretty happy with that. Had a very similar putt as this one to win the January Live Series. Almost this exact putt, actually. Don't really have a good second view, so I'm going with that read. I feel pretty good about that one. Okay. Good round. Really just a couple of pars here on 10 and 11. Little miss hit here early. Gave me a tricky putt that I missed. On 11, I don't know what happened. Either I misjudged the wind or Vim got me. But other than that, a couple of hole outs here. Pretty good round. Should have a good shot at winning the 1K. Hopefully you guys got some benefit from the talk through, and hope you guys maybe play Torrey a little bit better. Have a great day, and Really appreciate you tuning in. Bye.